I think you could record on your own. Oh, Dr. Barnor, okay. I was waiting for you. If you are here, then I don't have a problem. We can take over when I want you to take over. Okay, so what happens is that you have the a research proposal to write, and then that's what you are showing currently. And then you also have a qualitative research, I won't even consider qualitative, but a research literature review. Usually that's what you see in your exams. So this is last year's own. It won't change. It will be the same thing this year. So you'll be required
You can
to
come and help
learn
me
about
present.
prioritization, which I'll talk about later. I gave them an area of research to look into. So this one was consumer choices for digital payment systems. But I may change it this year. But the research design, the theorization of the data and data analysis. So that's how this is structured. I'll share and then I give them sample data and then they analyze it based on that. Okay. So I'll share this particular past question with you so that you could actually go through to have an idea of what you require of you. But we'll be doing something different this
I want this one too.
maybe hopefully in 2 weeks'
Putting
time,
it from
depending
here.
on how the class progresses. I will show you I would have prepared this question and make it available to you, relevant for this semester. Okay. So that's about it. Then we can go to the substance of the day, which Dr. Barnor will help me start it, and then I'll continue. Okay. Derek, I don't think everything is in order. If I'm right, everybody is here. I can go
Yes,
ahead.
Prof. One is here, but finance, they are in one class.
Derek,
So, yes, Prof. Can you hear me?
the person was calling me. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Prof?
Oh,
Hello?
sorry. I had muted my mic.
Yes.
I muted my speakers, but I was speaking. Sorry, I muted my speakers. I can hear you now, but forgive me.
Okay. The finance students are in one class, so the numbers may look a bit down, but about 7 or 8 of them are in one class listening to you now. So that's the only update. But apart from that, we are okay to carry on.
They have a class before my session.
Yes, so they are all gathered at one place.
We will be recording most, so it's better with the qualitative research. The way it is, we use a lot of online material. So if we teach it face to face, we'll lose. Bear with me. Those of you who are going to expect that, please prepare your data when you are coming to school on Thursdays. Mr. Joshua Netty, nice man.
Hello, Prof. Please, I'm here.
Oh, I said you are a nice man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the compliment. And God bless you, Prof.
Hey, you are bringing it here too. This one there, no patience. Joshua. Joshua says that last semester I was too quick, impatient with you. I was putting more work. So he's praying that this semester Prof will have patience with us and not give us too much work. Is that what?
Prof, not the work, not the work at all.
Or the pressure.
Yes. I'm referring to the pressure. Sometimes you start to know and Prof is on your neck.
Hey, Florence Newman, is that true?
Yes, Prof.
Hey, you say something. You are saying yes. Okay.
So, the pressure was too much.
The pressure was too much.
And so sometimes you get confused along the way. You may know the thing, but how you may not be expecting the pressure coming, and then when it comes, you kind of forget what you're supposed to say.
So the pressure I give you and the pressure you are feeling in your department, which is more? when you go to Viva and other things, you guys more. Me, I'm helping you. That one they are not helping. They are just asking you. Okay.
Yes, we appreciate
this semester. I won't teach anything. I'll just be quiet in class. Then
Prof, no, that's not.
That would help.
Yes, that wouldn't help us at all.
You are here, you.
of our secretaries and department assistant into consideration.
Hey,
Thank you.
for sure. Are
Thank
you
you very much. Yes, so we have stressed that they have to make the,
for sure, are you listening to another lecture? Why is there another lecture going on? Anyway, please, who is Fosia Okan? Are you finance? Are you?
And I was student.
Fosia, if you cannot talk.
Hi, hello, Prof. Good morning to you.
Yes, but where are you that you are listening to another lecture whilst we are teaching?
It's not a lecture, please.
It's what?
Sorry, somebody was in my office.
Oh, sorry. Okay. You are a big woman. Yeah, you have an office.
It's okay now, Prof. I'm here with you.
No. I didn't know you are a big woman like that. You have your own office. Please, where do you work?
UJ.
Ah, is that Susan?
Yes, Prof.
What? Yeah, you Susan. You are using a different name. Anyway.
That is my name, Prof.
Hey, you are called Susan Fosia Okan.
Yeah, Fosia Okan, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's go back to. Sorry, I also have people in my background. Okay, so let's go back to what we want to do today. And let me look for I think I have my slides already open. Dr. Barnor,
Yes, Prof.
are you ready?
Yes, please.
So this is what we are. We are just doing the what is research part. I just want you to look at the what is research and the types of research, and then I'll come in.
Okay, Prof.
This one is revision. They know it already, so I don't think you should do my. But just that there may be somebody who didn't school in UG, who doesn't have this background, or who never met me in any course before. So just to let them understand how we see research. Okay.
Okay, Prof.
So over to you, Dr. Van. When you want me to change the slide, I'll change it for you.
So, good morning, class.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Lord.
Good morning, dog.
Good morning, Doc.
I was especially in your philosophy class last semester, so some of the names are familiar. So if I have questions, I'll mention your name. As usual with Prof, if you are not answering, you have to go to the waiting room. So let's have a discussion briefly. How many of us here have not done research before? Any form of research, what you call projects? How many of us here have not done anything like that before? You can count from undergrad to your MPhil or your MSc or your MBA, whichever one you did.
Please, you can show your hand in the question is asking.
Great. So
it means that all of us have done some research before, if I'm right. Derek, is that what it means?
Yes, Prof.
Okay then. Well,
yes, Prof. Good. So let's have a brief discussion. When you were having your research or when you were conducting your research, what were you perceiving research to be? What was your understanding of what research is? Me, when I joined the business school, I saw research to be something that you are doing to fulfill your educational requirements to graduate. Because I had not done some before I joined the business school. So that was my understanding. What about you? I need just two people. Just two people. What was your thinking of what research is?
Glaston Haji, what was your thinking?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, so please, I understood research as a way of conducting an inquiry to address questions that the researcher intends to find answers for.
Is any other? Okay, Derek, come in.
Yeah, so I had a perception of an individual trying to find out or to solve a problem through gathering of data.
Gathering of data.
Yes, like so for instance, I want to know the number of maybe a number of people wearing a particular brand in the class. So when I'm able to gather data from them, asking questions and then writing a short report, basically it was research for me. That's what I understood. I did see it as a broad thing. I just saw it just a small problem that can be solved through gathering of data.
Okay, so to the usual question that we always meet when Prof is with us, Manasseh Azuri has been gathering data. Anas has been gathering data. You perceive that as research? We'll come back to this question, but let's answer it now. Anybody can come in. Anybody. Albert Kofi, if you are there, help us. There's one wanted to talk.
Yes. Doc, the question was...
So that wouldn't constitute research. That will be maybe an investigation or maybe some kind of actions of journalism.
Okay, right. So let's look at how you are right or wrong. Whether you are right or wrong. When we get there, I'll call you again. Just to tell us whether you are right or wrong. Okay. So we view research as an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions. And something that has stuck with me since 2013, when I began my MPhil with Prof, is that at the heart of every research is a research question, which is being answered. So if you do not have questions that you are answering, then you do not have a research. Good. So let's pick them one after the other. Organized or systematic first. Systematic because every researcher or every research has some scientific procedures. There are clear steps that are taken to organize the research. Okay. There are standardized methods. We'll look at the methods briefly. There are standardized methods, and then possibly there's also documentation. So there are some steps that you need to take to have your research done. And these steps are systematic because it is a scientific procedure that you need to follow. There are some principles that you need to follow. So Derek said he is looking for the particular brand that people are wearing in the class. From the discipline that Derek is coming from, there may be a particular approach that is used to do that. And so the question again, if what Anas does in journalism, if there is a systematic approach that they go through, that's the discipline has accepted that this is the way to conduct investigative journalism. And Manasseh Azuri is doing same and he's getting results. And you are doing same in your discipline, whether it's operations, finance, or whatever, and you are following the systematic approach that the discipline accepts. Let's come back. Would you consider what Anas and Manasseh are doing as research? Having heard what I just said.
I think that they have an organized way of doing it, but they're systematic. Following a scientific procedure, they don't follow any scientific procedure in what they do. I think that for them, it's just about finding solutions to problems.
Does anyone have a different opinion on this? I see Larry's mic on. So, does anyone have a contrary opinion to this? Does anyone have a contrary opinion to this? David Ifamensa. David, do you have a contrary opinion? You agree to what Derek is saying? Sorry, Desmond. Obed Ejiri, please help us.
Yes, I think that it will depend. It will depend on the instance, because there are some of the investigative journalism that is done by ANAS. Some can be classified as research if only is able to use the organized and then the systematic way of finding answers to the questions that maybe he's looking for. But on the other side, too, some of the work that he does might not be considered as a research. So it depends on the kind of investigation that is actually doing.
Yes, Desmond, come in again. You want to come in?
Yeah, shortly, with the way ANAS does its investigations and all that, I think that with research, there is even an ethical aspect to the procedures, where we need some ethical clearance, and then the data being collected from the respondent, the respondent needs to be informed about the research and why we are collecting the data and some other things. And if the person agrees, you go ahead. But with ANAS, he just comes in and then takes the information without any ethical, let me just say, with ethical violations, without the respondent knowing what the data collected is being used for. So I think that actually violates the research principle. So I still stand with the fact that what they are doing is actually not research. They are investigating or something else.
Okay.
Sir, before
yes,
you go, I want to address his own. While what you are saying is true in the essence of if ANAS belongs to a scientific body and he's trying to do the research within that scientific body, you need to also appreciate that there's something called covert observation, which is part of qualitative research, in which you can collect data without letting people know that you are there, because of the nature of the phenomenon you are studying. We use that one in marketers will call something called mystery shopping. I used to do that in the UK. So they will a marketing officer will hire you to go and research on, let's say, Malcolm. You will take the role of a customer, and you, as a difficult customer, you go there and and they'll tell you what you should do. So you go there, you pour water on the floor, you see how they'll handle. You go there with a child, your child will create a scene. You see how Malcolm will handle you, all because you want to document how customers like this are treated by Malcolm, and you write a report for Malcolm, and Malcolm will use it to improve its customer service processes. So that is part of mystery shopping. But in that case, your data collection is a covert observation or covert data collection, where you don't display, show who you are, but the owner of the premises knows that you have been hired to come and do that. So that degree of owner consent is there. It's from the owner, but not from the workers who are there. So you are right and wrong at the same time. Do you understand me?
Yes, Prof.
There are also cybercrime research that use the covert approach, where you possibly join a WhatsApp group of cyber offenders and then see and learn how they operate for your data to be used. So it's an approach that people use most of.
So that's one that Dr. Barnor is called. It's called covert participant observation. So you are participating in the activity, but not like you are not that you participate in some of the conversation, but not the criminal one. Like they say, yeah. Then you also like those kind of things. Yeah, so that you will be seen as part of them. But there's also there's also non-participant observation, which may not necessarily be covert. So for example, you know that have you heard about football scouts? Like they say they send you to recruit Chelsea and then go and watch and see whether there's a good player you can buy from there. Have you heard of that? Derek, have you heard of that?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah, so that one is called non-participant observation. You are a coach. You are from Galaxy Stars in South Africa. You are here to Asante Kotoko. You go to the port. The players don't even know you are here. Or sometimes they may know you are here, but they don't introduce you to them. You sit in the aisles. They do that in World Cup a lot. Then they watch the game. After that, they'll come and approach they say, I came here for Bekum Chelsea, but you Asante Kotoko, I'm rather interested in your player. So I want to buy your player. like this. So I'll let him come for justification at my place. That is non-participant observation. He was not part of the activity. He didn't play the football game. He's just observing. So quite a number of people go to parliament and do non-participant observation or parliamentary procedures, which is used in PhD research, which can be used by PhD researchers in public admin.
Okay, that's on your hand, sir. Let's listen to them and we can continue from there. That's
Did you understand it?
Yes, please. Yes, Doc. Prof.
Okay.
No, I've lowered my hand long time. Doc.
Okay. So the second
Doc, a quick one.
Yes,
just throw you back. When I was doing my MPhil thesis, it was the same time that Anas was investigating things on football. So I really struggled to collect data on the coaches. So in some cases, I did not go with any ethical clearance. And I happened to be sitting in media, other places where I could get these people and then randomly talk to them. So in this case, does it fall under Prof's method or it's still not scientific since I didn't announce myself? Because I didn't go through usually you have maybe a semi-structured interview guide where you follow the questions. But through conversation, you are able to pick some of this information. So where does it...
Derek, you are mixing things. Ethical clearance has nothing to do with covert observation. Covert observation is a method of collecting data. Ethical clearance is a method of approving all your research protocols, whether they follow the ethics of the institution and the profession.
Okay.
So even if they'll look at your questionnaire, they'll look at your research problem, they'll look at everything, whether you're asking the right question. Is your question going to endanger minors? They'll be checking for all of these things. Is your question going to induce or coerce people to give you responses? Are you coercing people by giving them money before they talk? All of these are what we are looking for. Not necessarily because we are using covert or not. We are checking everything. So when we give you ethical clearance, you are satisfied the ethics of the institution. So if you are in medical science, for example, you may even have to collect ethical clearance from University of Ghana, and then when you go to Ghana Health Service, you also go to their own ethical clearance protocol. Even 37, after Ghana Health Service are giving, when you get 37 has a whole board that they also meet, and they will also give you ethical clearance because it's a hospital. They have got their own ethical board.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you understand me.
Yeah, Prof, I get it. Then let me rephrase my question again. So
good.
On the
but you were being able to find it difficult to get access to data. So you were using all the means to be able to meet with the potential research participants. And that's about techniques and research on the field. And that one is about street knowledge. For example, if I come from Bukum and I'm collecting data from Bukum, the way I'll do it is very different from somebody who has never lived in Bukum. Because I know the street knowledge. I know who is the campaign here that I should talk to. But the guy who had never been to Bukom will go to the assemblyman, then the assemblyman will then send it to you. By the time you even get to the right people to ask the questions, the people have left.
Yes.
But you who have lived in Bukom knows that, okay, if you talk to Bukom Banku and he talks to his boys, they will just be available for you for the question. Then you buy some local fuel for them. That's all.
Yes. Okay.
So those are street techniques that you use to collect data. We call it getting entry to the field.
Okay.
Yeah, and those ones sometimes it can come up in there are ethical issues that you may break, but to come up in Viva, then you have to try and go around the issue. You don't see everything.
All right. Thank you, Prof.
Okay then.
All right. So the second item we are looking at is the organized. So we said it's an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions, which we have looked at in terms of the systematic way. Now, so the second item is the organized elements, which is because the researcher follows some structure or method in conducting the research. Now, please, we are on the slide 5.
No, I know, but you are talking about the organized way, so I'm giving it to you. So this one is not a methodic. We are not going linear. This is the no. So we are picking what's necessary to talk to them. So you are talking about the approach, the organized way. So that's why. So that you can
Okay.
then after that take them to the PhD organized way, which is the next slide. Yeah.
Okay, Prof. So, like I was saying, there are steps that you need to follow. Okay, there's a structure, and like we are saying here, we'll look at this when we start looking at some PhDs that have passed. We always say that at the center of your PhD or your write-up is the theory. Don't mix this up with the questions bit that I said, because the theory can change the way you select your topic. I remember when I was in my PhD, I found out that somebody had used the theory I was using, the questions I was using. The person was in UG, MPhil. The person did it in sociology. So I approached Prof together with Eddie. Those of you know Eddie. And Prof, the only thing Prof said was change the question. When I changed the question, it changed the theory. In fact, it didn't change the theory, it added a few more theories, 2 more theories to the theory I was using, which then changed the topic. So if you follow the steps, okay, that have been laid down, okay, that's where we look at it in terms of the research being organized. Now, the research process has a number of steps to guide you, okay, which Prof showed earlier. I think, Prof, please, you can go there. Yes, Prof.
We are there. Which one are you
No,
talking
the PhD.
Okay, I thought you go to this before the PhD. Okay, no, then I can go there. Then they will know. Okay.
Yes, please. Okay. So, first of all, for the PhD, I think some departments have their own way that they do it. But this is the standard that we use. In case you go to your department and they ask you to do it in a different way, I think you need to listen to them. Don't go and argue. Okay. So you have your first bit, which is the introduction. We'll look at examples. So whilst we have the session or the course for the semester, we would be seeing examples. So you have your introduction, of course, which you know should contain your background, problem, purpose, objectives, questions, significance, organization of the research. Some people would want to add a limitation. Some people would want to add a few things. Some departments even have their methodology in chapter 1. When you talk to the music department, they have their methodology in chapter 1. I don't know why. Then you move on to your literature review. Some departments will combine the literature review to the theoretical foundation or the conceptual framework as chapter 2. Some also would have a separate context of the study, and some would also want to have the context of the study, even the presentation of the finding as the first part. For example, in my thesis, I had the context of the study as the first part of my finding. Depending on you and your supervisor or your department, you can modify this to suit you. Okay, so Prof, let's go to slide 6.
Let's go to where?
Slide 6. We are left with the two components. Where we have, yes. So I indicated that your research is supposed to be a systematic and organized way of finding answers to questions. Now, because every research seeks to answer a question or a number of questions, sometimes the answer can be. Now, sometimes somebody's mic is on. Albert, please mute your mic. Okay. Sometimes you go on the field and what you're looking for may not be there. It doesn't mean when you come, you have nothing to write. Okay. You may go into the research with an agenda. You go there and the thing that you're looking for is not there. For example, when I started my cybercrime research, I went on the field thinking that cybercrime has to do with people breaking into systems and looking for bank accounts to hack and all those things. I went there and I noticed that no, in our context, it is rather romance scam that dominates. You won't find hackers giving you data. And so my answer to the first question was no. But then the reason behind the no was that there were people there, but do not commit the type of offense that I was going to the study with. That doesn't mean that the fact that they are not there, I do not have anything to write. Okay, so even if you get no, that is an answer. Go further and then explain why the answer is no. I believe we are on the same page. If you're on the same page, just give me a thumbs up. Okay, now, Or if you need further explanation, you can put it in the chat if you are shy to say it. Okay, thank you. I have 4 people. Now, I have also indicated earlier that at the heart of the research is the question. So we have here that questions are central to research. If there is no question, there wouldn't obviously be any research for you to begin with. Okay, so like I also gave you an example when I went into the study and someone had done the study using similar questions, if not the same questions. When I came to see my supervisor, I said, change the questions. That tells you that the questions drive the research that you are conducting. The questions that you go on the field, it's not your interview guide or your questionnaire, but the research questions that you ask, okay, in your research is what drives your research. For example, we'll see how the research is interlinked. Your research question cannot be different from your gaps that you identified and the problem that you write. When you start looking at examples, you see. And so if you do not have any question, it affects the way you even choose your theory. Your questions can guide you to choose your theory. Your theory can guide you to change your questions. So you can see how creative the whole research process is. Now, as you can see, the research question gives you direction, okay, which also in turn gives you the boundary of how far you can go in your work. For example, my research question 1, what are the mechanisms that trigger cyber criminal behaviors? Okay, I had interviewed cyber criminals, but that thing was not enough. So I had to go and interview police. I had to go and interview some bankers. I had to interview cafe operators and things like that. But the boundary of the research, okay, that I was looking at was cybercrime and in particular romance scam. So if I had met someone doing hacking and things like that, his data wouldn't be enough for me to make a claim. Okay, so your questions can also set boundaries for you as well as your target audience, which I've mentioned. Okay, and also defines your phenomenon. My question didn't mention romance scam because we're looking at it generally. Okay, some people may decide to mention romance scams. In fact, my question 3 mentioned romance scams. Okay, now it also defines your context. Some people may decide to mention the country or the domain within which they are organizing or they are writing their research, the resources, and in fact, your plan and budgets. If you have a particular question that may demand that you spend some amount of money. If your data source is not in Ghana, like if I'm comparing cyber criminals in Nigeria and Ghana, I would have to go to Nigeria to go and collect data. That may affect my budget, including my plan. If I have 3 years to finish the work and the Nigerians are not forthcoming, it may extend the period that I may have to conduct the research. So if you come and change your question, that may also affect the budget that you go into the research with. Please, if you have any question, you can ask. If you have any question, you can ask. Because you are moving to a different phase. If you have any question, you can ask. Please, if you understand, to give me a thumbs up.
I don't see anybody asking a question. I don't know whether Susan has a question. Okay. Susan, do you have a question? Susan, are you with us? I don't think she's with us. If we call you, you're not with us, we'll put you outside the classroom. Then you come back. Okay. So let's continue. Now, what he said earlier was the literature review, the introduction. So there's also a literature review, theoretical foundation, context of study, research methodology, results analysis, and discussion conclusion. Does it mean that everybody writes 8 chapters? Not necessarily. Some people write 7 chapters. But the thing is that the graduate school handbook says that you should write about, is it 60,000 words? Is it 60 or 50? One of them.
55.
55,000. 55,000
Yes.
For the minimum for the PhD to be submitted. So that gives you around 7 chapters at least. And depending on how your chapter lengths are. So at least what I've seen people do is 7 chapters, no more. Okay. Then you also have appendices and then references.
Hello.
Yes, Susan. You are aware. I will come back. Next time you call here, you don't respond, we will put you out of the room. So we wanted to know whether you have any question. Okay. Now this is the outline of the PhD. There's a cover page. In terms of the plenary page, this is a very important thing that you should do. People mix it up. The title page, the declaration page, and then there's an abstract page. There's not like signature page. On the same declaration page, you declare, and then beneath the declaration, your declaration, you can have the faculty or your supervisors also declare or attest to the fact that they supervised you. In the past, there was a different thing for declaration. There was a different sheet for supervisor signing, and then another sheet for the student sign. Now there's one sheet. Then you go to dedication, chronology, table of contents, list of figures, and list of tables. Somebody say, where's the abbreviations? If you have a list of abbreviations, to be part of the list of things. So list of figures, list of tables, list of abbreviations. You can bring it there. Okay, so please take note of the phases of the research process. Very, very important. Okay. Now, the research process is different from the research design. The process is the entire pathway. The design is just a step in the pathway. The design means that we are going to try and determine who and how and when and where we collect the data. What type of data are we collecting? Where are we collecting the data from? And how do we collect the data? So that's what will happen with the research process, with the research design. The process is more about the whole mile of the PhD. So the types of research. Okay, so we are doing qualitative research, but there are different types of research depending on who is doing the research and the purpose of the research. When we take the who is doing research, the approach of the research, we can talk about a qualitative approach to the research, a quantitative and a mixed method. Yeah, if you can explain.
Okay, Prof. So let's first of all start with the quantitative. So you have done philosophy, and so you are familiar with what quantitative approach was or is. So with the quantitative approach, you are trying to determine the extent of a problem or the existence of a relationship between aspects of a phenomenon. And so in a layman's terms, someone would say that a quantitative person will use figures to communicate the output or the outcome of a research. Okay. And the quantitatives, let me use your terms. The quantitatives or a quantitative approach will be more of an objective or a positivist approach. Let me use that term. Okay. Whereby is the answer there yes with an explanation? Is the answer there no with an explanation? But they will use figures to do that. And they are more objective, like I indicated. But a qualitative would like to look for the meaning behind the answer not being there by using text. Okay, the attitudes of people. Yesterday we were in a meeting together with Prof. And before we went into the meeting about a week ago, we had a meeting and then we all decided that we should have a face-to-face meeting because even the gestures that people put across have meaning, and a qualitative researcher would be interested even in how you pull your chair and answer a particular question, how you look away and answer a particular question because who you are talking about is standing there. Okay, so the meaning that people give to their answers is what a qualitative researcher would be interested in. Okay, the values, the beliefs that people associate with the phenomenon that they are looking at or the researcher is looking at. Okay, rather than look at whether there's a relationship between one variable and the other or not to prove or disprove it. Then a mixed method would combine the strengths of both the quantitative and the qualitative. There are detailed way of having a mixed method research. Someone may decide to do the quantitative first and use the qualitative to support it. There's a name for that. Someone may decide to do the qualitative first and use the quantitative to also support it. Someone may also decide to do both approaches concurrently. Okay, so these are the three approaches that we have in research. Please, are we there? Are we okay with this? Are you okay with this?
Yes, Doc, we are okay.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. So we'll look at a few examples. So for a quantitative research, and this is a question that the researcher may ask: to what extent have students adopted mobile phones? Oh, Obed, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, and you made mention of a mixed method. And
Yes,
I wanted to find out if the mixed method, we can trace it back to the research question, where some part of the research question will be more of a quantitative, and then the other will be more of qualitative.
True. So I won't change what I said. The heart of the research is a research question. So the research question can even determine the approach you use. So thank you so much. It will even tell whether at this part of the research you should go quantitative or qualitative. If you are asking a question like, what are the factors that influence the adoption of mobile phones, okay, among students? Okay, you can do this with a qualitative approach, but then you have another question that is asking, to what extent have students adopted mobile phones? Then you have to do quantitative there. Okay, so what drives the way the research is conducted is the research question. Thank you so much, Obed. Good. So I was giving an example of a quantitative research question. So to what extent have students adopted mobile phones? And in this instance, you would have to develop a hypothesis to conduct the study. And so one hypothesis may be students who obtain with A never miss class. That may be one hypothesis. So as whether they have adopted a mobile phone or not, we are looking at the grades they have and whether they miss the class. We may have another hypothesis that we look at those who focus on using their phone or doing ChatGPT when class is ongoing, okay, and the grades they obtain. You may develop one hypothesis like that. Now, a qualitative question will go like, what is the working condition in the banking industry? Okay, what are the perceptions of traditional medicines among users? You can't measure perception. So most of the time when students come to me and they present their question, you look at what can and what cannot be measured. If there is something that you can't measure, then you have to start reorienting how you frame the question. If you are a quantitative person, understand quantitative very well, can find your way in and out of quantitative research, and you have a question of measuring perceptions, then you have to rethink, because perception, I don't know, for quantitatives may not be, or you may not be able to measure perception. Okay, and so that's also an example. Then if you move to the mixed methods, you may have questions like, what are the types of primary schools in the city of Accra? That is one part. And the extent of their popularity in the city. You can use Sammy will be with you. You can use one part of the question to answer. In fact, you can use qualitative to answer one part of the question, and then one part of in fact, use quantitative to answer the other parts of the question, therefore driving you to go qualitative. Yes, I'm sorry, yes, qualitative, and then put it all together, you have your mixed method. Yes, Sammy.
Thank you, Doc, for the opportunity. Okay, so my question is in two parts. I think there was an earlier question if one question can address both a qualitative and then a quantitative.
Yes, that's what the last example I gave.
Yes. So you were speaking to that, and I just wanted to know if there was a situation where you can use the qualitative or addressing that question quantitative can sort of reveal the factors, and you can also use a qualitative to sort of affirm those factors. That's just a question that I want to ask. And then secondly, you spoke about perceptions, not...
Let's take one at a time. Qualitative will be very good to establish the descriptors, and then you can use the quantitative to show which of them is dominant. But where you want to start with the quantitative, then you are trying to narrow down on maybe a set of factors looking at the path. And when you finish talking about those set of factors, you can use qualitative to be able to understand under what circumstances those factors tend to pertain or prevail.
Okay, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, then what again?
And then secondly, on the perceptions being measured, I think, or my from where I stand, perceptions can be measured using like the level of agreement. Okay, I think that's been demonstrated through some quantitative studies where perceptions are measured on a Likert scale, and so I would want to know if that is not a good way of measuring people's perceptions with respect to their opinions on issues, including
okay, you are asking one question, you go around, boss. Perceptions that you are measuring is all depending on the study you are doing. Some studies can draw on a social theory that can help you to exploit very well, and that social theory can lean on qualitative or qualitative. So I cannot be able to say that measure this particular one this way because I don't know what theory is underpinning the variable. But if you are trying to get people's perception concerning the new library that has been opened in down Mango, people, I guess I will have to do a qualitative research. I can do interviews, and I can use interviews or use focus group discussion to get those views. Or I can select community leaders and do quantitative over them, or community leaders and do qualitative over them. It's all depending on what I want to say and how representative I want to say it. That is quantitative. How deep I want to be able to understand the underlying issues. That is qualitative. So if the MP want to understand why the library is there, the people are not still going there, qualitative. If we want to say that people love the library and to what extent that the people in the whole, all the teachers in the schools and stuff in the community like it, quantitative. If I want to know what do the community leaders say, qualitative. If I want to know what is the dominant view of the community leaders, quantitative. What they want to say, qualitative. What is the dominant view, quantitative. So your boss, Dr. Barnor, talked about the fact that the quantitative quantifies the variation, while the qualitative helps us to understand what is in the variation. Okay, let me not stop. Yeah, let me stop here. If I say everything today, you get confused. Let me end here. I'll go to another dimension. Yeah, let me leave it. Okay.
Thank you, Prof, and thank you, Doc.
So in qualitative, we can have parallel mixed method. You can have parallel where you are doing quantitative, qualitative, and then you can have sequential, one coming before the other. Then you can have multi-methods. No, I can use two quantitative and only one qualitative, and I can use two quantitative. So you can have multi-methods. There's a lot. Joshua, no more questions on this issue. You are not reaching anywhere. Let me end it here. No, don't take the whole. Don't take the.
Prof, if it's not a question here, just a follow-up.
Type it
what
for
you
us.
Are saying.
Type it for us.
I only want to ask on
type it for us,
can still
boss.
measure
I said type it for us.
Okay, Prof, I will type it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's give opportunity to Paul Benson and Benjamin Sechi and those in the classroom to also ask a question, either by typing or something. So Ampoma, I want to hear from you. If everything's okay, yes, tell us everything's okay, but at least let's hear from you. Francis Annan, you are
yes, Prof, everything is okay.
You, if it's not okay, even tell me it's okay, so I'll mind you.
Oh no, Prof, everything is okay.
Francis Annan, you are management science. You want quantity in everything, so I don't want to ask you any question. This is not quantity, so you know, but you can do quality management. Accounting students here.
Okay. No, Prof, they are not here. They have their own accounting. I think.
Yeah, it's true. Professor, this thing told me about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
Prof. This is Benjamin Sechi.
yeah, Benjamin. Yeah.
Yes, it's okay for us. We did almost the same thing last semester, so it's okay with us.
And people are asking questions as if like we have never done this thing before. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so let's jump and let's go to, okay, so we have got exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory. Technically, the exploratory will tell us new things that we don't know about for a given area we have never entered. So we like to do exploratory where it's new ground. We don't know what is going on there. We want to understand what is even happening and what are the key issues in that place.
400.
Whilst descriptive is for us to be able to understand the variables that are there, explanatory will help us to be able to look at the interrelationship between the variables. So sometimes we may do explanatory, especially with those who like to do quantity. You can do explanatory to be able to look at the interrelationship between variables. But then you can do descriptive too, and you see that in qualitative research, you see that in exploratory research, you see qualitative research there. Can a quantitative research be exploratory? Yes. A quantitative research can be exploratory. It can happen that way. But it all depends on what you are trying to explore and whether your objective is to get a representation or representative perspective. So always look at why do we do quantitative variation, quantifying variation, quantifying representation is the objective. And then being able to establish causality is the objective. Qualitative does not go with quantification of variations. So that's the differences that you have with that one. Okay. But one of the key questions I will ask you as a PhD student is that what is the common type of research you see your department people doing, if you have checked? Let me ask, so marketing, do you see more quantity or quality among the marketing lecturers?
Prof. Yeah, they do both, but majority are in the quantity.
Okay. So usually if you do quality, then you are lost. You don't get a lot of support. Okay. Okay, you have been going to Vivers, I believe. You have been seeing those who are struggling at Viver. Okay, and then what about finance? I know you are in the lecture hall. Can somebody tell us or type it for us? What do you see? Is it more or both? Public admin, you see both. Is there HR here?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof. For which of the public
HR, Prof.
No, you see both.
Yes, Prof. You see both. It's just that majority of them do fancy.
Hey, so the quality people are few. Now, why is it important? Because if you, the student yourself, you should weigh the climate in the department so that you know where you are going. Otherwise, you'll be left alone. No? So the students don't weigh the climate in the department and they just want to choose, I want to do this, I want to do that. Then when you go for presentation, you're not getting very good feedback because you have taken an area that nobody is there, or your supervisor himself is even angry with you that you're going for quality or going for quantity. So be intelligent and in choosing your area. Be intelligent in choosing your area. Okay. So some of the topics you see in exploratory research are sometimes you see to explore the antecedents and outcomes to engagement with videos on social media platform. Using this as an example, to examine the antecedents and outcomes of consumer use of emotional icons or emoticons in engagement with online information among Gen Z, Y, and X in consumers in Ghana. Now, all of these type of questions, you are seeing a person trying to engage in an area in which much is not known about. Generational studies in Ghana and in Africa are very few. So anybody who does generational study has opportunity of giving us new and fresh information and knowledge. So that's why you see quite a number of them being used as an example here. But when you go to descriptive would like to ask what and how, so that it will try to gain insights on describing a phenomenon or the situation or a problem. Whilst explanatory will try to do the why and how. So why and how do firms? Now, explanatory research can be seen more in quantitative, but doesn't mean that qualitative cannot do explanatory research. So just note that down. And as you go on in reading people's papers, always try to know, is this paper exploratory? Sometimes people write it, is this paper explanatory, descriptive? Why is it descriptive? Why is it explanatory? What is the person doing for it to be explanatory or exploratory? So this is my kind of homework for you. Everybody should go and find one paper, qualitative and quantitative, and which is exploratory, quantitative and qualitative, exploratory, descriptive, quantitative, and qualitative. I don't know where you get qualitative and quantitative descriptive, but you go and check. And then get another one which is quantitative qualitative in terms of explanatory, and see and bring it to class next week. We'll discuss them. You can get the papers, the title of papers and stuff. In fact, if I say bring it to class, you wait at the class day. When you finish doing it, put your name on it and then write your index number. We just want to know the references of the papers and the links to the papers. So you can just write Susan Fusua can index number 222. Then you write
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Please, my line was breaking, so could you kindly help us with the what we are supposed to do again? Would appreciate that.
I've not even finished. You're asking me that I should start again.
I apologize because I wasn't catching what you were saying. That's why I apologize.
So why don't you finish it? So when I was talking, even when you came back, you don't mean you let me finish. You leave me listen. Okay, what I'm saying is that you are going to take for each of the dimensions, exploratory, descriptive, and then explanatory. Find papers in that area. In fact, because of your come to ask question, I'm adding one more. Find quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods for exploratory, for descriptive, and for 111, and for explanatory. So each of them you find each of the purposes you find 3: quantitative, qualitative, and then mixed methods. Exploratory, quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods. Explanatory, quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods. Descriptive, and just write the references there and your index number, your name, and when you finish and you are able to do it, put it down. Or I'll ask for it during the week. There will be a day that we'll ask for it, and we'll send you an email to where to send it to. Then we'll collect all of them. If I tell you to share it on a platform, everybody will copy your own. And some people will not do it. They'll just copy yours and then resubmit it as yes. So I'll tell you to do it and keep it. And I'll tell you to where to submit it. Now, what do I want to see? I want to see whether you can find similar papers in these areas and you can understand and identify them, so that can help you to understand the differences between them. So go and find the papers and their references. And don't say download the PDF for me. Find the paper and then their reference, and give me the reference and the link to the paper. So Derek, I hope you understand. Each of the papers, you are going to find 3: quantitative, qualitative, and quantitative. Is that okay, Derek?
Yes, I get that.
First was 2, but because someone came to ask questions, I'm adding the 3rd one. So you can go and beat some more. Okay. Then we have cross-sectional study, longitudinal study, and then time series. Okay, so the 2 which tend to matter to most of you are panel and then longitudinal. Most students will do the easier one, that's cross-sectional. The rest is more difficult to do. Time series, you are choosing a selected number of variables and you are studying the phenomenon at different points in time, often to view the social trends. And I think with time series, you see it with finance and accounting students because it's very quantitative in nature. But with longitudinal studies and panels, longitudinal studies like cohort and panel, it's more about selecting a set of respondents. If it's panel, the people you choose, like I choose Albert Kofi, Susan Okan, and then let's say David Mensah, and I add Benedicta Mawina. I'll go with them throughout the study. If I'm doing it over 2 years and I'm coming every 6 months, I will talk to the same people, asking them that, do you love UG whilst you are doing the PhD? Then I come to them at the end of the first year, and ask them. Then I'll ask this at the beginning of So I ask every 6 months. So throughout their PhD journey, every 6 months I visit them and ask them that, do you love UG? And what about the PhD program? So by the time they get to final year, I'll be able to have a longitudinal perspective of their love for UG and the PhD program. And I'm talking to the same four: Susan, Mawina, Albert Kofi, and then David Mensah. But for the cohort study, I choose the whole class, starting from Paul Benson and ending with the last person in the class, maybe Samson or Samuel. And then what I do is that these 20 students or 25 students I'm talking to, when I come the first time, I sample 5. I pick Nanaya, I pick Papa Anochi, I pick Richard Otu, and I pick Joshua Neti. Then I come back another 6 months and I pick Larry Samuel, I pick Manaf Isa, and I pick one of the finance students and another person, Nana Buama. Then I come again another 6 months and I pick Paul Benz. Okay, Paul Benz, I pick you already. I pick Samuel Odam Lamti. Then I go and pick let's say Kingsley Wusu, and I pick Class Stone and I pick Gertrude. Now, what am I doing here? I have a cohort of students, but I want to be able to understand the issues that they are going through from multiple perspectives or multiple responses within the same cohort. And based on their availability too, because sometimes when you come back, if you do the panel, that means that you have to be prayed, and none of them will pass away or travel and go to US, and you cannot be able to meet the person because they all have to be experiencing the phenomenon and be present. So panel is more difficult to do because you cannot control movements or mobility of people. But when you are doing cohort, you have a larger sample you are using, and you are picking from them anytime you come back. So that helps you to be able to get people who are available for the study the time you come back, and then people who have got different experiences. Sometimes 1 or 2 may be repeated because it's a random selection is what you are doing in each cohort the time you come, but you're able to have diverse opinions. So it's easier to do a cohort study than do a panel study, but all of them is about access. And we're talking about access when you're doing ethical clearance. Okay. Please, is that okay?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Thank you very much. Okay. So now let's go to qualitative research. Okay. Now, Nibano, please, after you have done your research in qualitative, now what is your definition of qualitative research?
Hello, Prof.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we continue?
Now, so you have done qualitative research for some time now. So what's your definition for qualitative research?
Oh, so let me use my plain words. So finding answers to questions within the natural context in which people behave or people live their lives. So when you go to the field to collect data, you would want to have an opportunity to see what the people do, how they do it, how they collaborate, who they talk to. And even in my context, the people that they were even chatting with sometimes, they were able to show me. And so I'll look at qualitative research as conducting a study within the context in which people live their natural lives. Yes.
Okay. Very, very good point in there. Okay, so qualitative researchers like to study things within our natural settings, attempting to make sense of it or interpret it so that others they can make meaning, they can understand or appreciate or uncover or describe the meaning that people bring to that particular issue. So let me give an example. You know the war going on in Baku. Do you remember the current issues going on in Baku in the northern region or upper west or upper?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah. Do you remember recently they said that they are waiting for 2-4 to come back to do the mediation for them? They have traveled. Do you remember?
Come again. They are waiting for.
Otunfo.
Oh, okay. I
Do you
didn't.
remember? Or you don't remember they said that?
Yes, we do.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, let me give an example. Currently, do you realize that the Pope has offered that he will sit in the mediation between Russia and Ukraine and America to sit down together, and the European Union to sit down together, and he would like to convene the meeting?
Yes, Prof.
Okay. So sometimes, with the coup, for example, sometimes when they say the politicians there, they don't understand the context of chiefs and the pride of chiefs to be able to talk to them, and they may make errors in terms of the communication because of the lack of understanding the cultural nuances that go with dealing with chiefs. But when you come to a sense of power of knowledge like Otufo, he can appreciate that. I was talking to a politician, I asked him why they are doing that. I told him that he's the only one who can understand them in terms of power and having a kingdom and what is at stake. And I can appreciate it and know the right words to use and communicate. So qualitative researchers, your objective is to understand become a person like Otunfo. When you are in an environment you are studying them, ability to appreciate everything that pertains to the issue, so that you can be able to get into the minds of the people to appreciate why they do something and they act a particular way, or the meanings that they associate with what they are doing. Quantitative people don't do that. They believe that there's a degree of separatedness. Remember, I told you about that, and that they can study the phenomenon without interacting with it. So Joshua will drop the questionnaire and go back to YouTube and then expect me to get the data for him.
My AirPods.
However, when you take someone like Florence would like to do qualitative because she wants to even observe the mannerisms of the people, how they were seated when they were even answering the question, and who they talked to, how they even walked, what dress were they wearing, the kind of mannerisms in their face when they were asked questions. So those ones cannot be captured quantitatively, can be captured only by observation. Qualitative will do that one very well. So when you are choosing qualitative and quantitative, always understand that why am I doing it? And then have I got opportunities to understand the people in their natural settings? Do I want to get the meanings the people bring to the issue? And do I want to study the people? So in qualitative research, some people also point out the fact that when you are doing all these things, you need to understand that you are constructing the social reality by your research. You are trying to describe or kind of paint a picture of the reality in your write-up of what is happening in Damango, or what's happening in Boko, or what's happening in the King's Palace, or what is happening among students, whichever way you are doing your study. But that thing you are trying to describe is transitional and situational. So a lot of information is needed in terms of the context and the time that you went there and what you observed. Because tomorrow morning something can happen and what you observe will not even happen again. So it's transitory and situational. What you're observing, if I send another researcher there could be some degree of variation between what you saw and what you also saw, because the context have changed. So the phenomenon we are trying to study is not static. It's transitory and situational. Okay. So usually I ask students that, what do you see? What do you see here? And students tell me different things. If I should ask you guys, what do you see?
Prof, I see a chair. I see chair.
Okay, somebody says see a chair. Okay. Somebody also says he see different types of chairs. Two different answers. What does somebody also see?
Prof, I see.
Okay, so you can talk. You just have to mute the other mic in the room. That's why I'm getting feedback. Or you can type it, we'll read it for you.
Hi, Prof.
Yeah.
Yes, I see furniture business.
You see furniture business?
Yeah.
Hey, who is that?
Nanaya.
Nanaya, where there's a business? Have I put some money somewhere?
I'm just saying
I thought you said you even see
what
furniture office.
no, what the money
Okay,
I'll make
furniture
out of
business, meaning
selling
that you are
any
seeing
of
chairs
them.
that could be for sale. Okay,
Yes,
I
how
understand
much
what
I'll be making from them, yeah.
and now you are HR.
Yes, Prof.
I thought you said you see the visitor chair, you see the colleague chair, and you see the MD's chair.
No, Prof. I want the cash.
Okay, I hear you.
Mm.
I see different functions, chairs for different functions. I see what I can use the chair for. That means I can see rest and comfort. I see levels of authority. Okay. So the interpretation is based on what you want to study. If your PhD is about levels of authority, you will see levels of authority. If your PhD is about convenience, making customer service, then you can see rest and comfort. If your PhD is about purpose and all the various purpose and factors, maybe organizational departments and setups, you can see things like Francis Anand. You are management science, so I'm not surprised you are seeing purposes and functions. You are classifying the thing as a resource. If I'm right, if Francis, am I lying?
Yes,
It's a
yes,
resource.
yes, Prof.
So you are seeing different
Yes, Prof.
resource for different purposes. Okay, so
Yes,
what
yes,
you see is
yes,
dependent on your contextual understanding of what these things do. And that's how we see data in the real world. Sometimes you, the researcher, in the qualitative research, you are likely to be biased based on your predisposition to certain types of knowledge and certain type of experiences. For example, if you have been duped by somebody sitting in the executive chair before, if you see the chair, you always remember how much money you lost through what's the name? NAM1 or something. So you will not be happy whenever you see this chair. Now, if you went for an interview and then you passed and they made you sit in the middle chair, so anytime you see that chair, say that's my lucky chair. You remember the first interview and the first job you got in maybe in University of Ghana or something like that. Now, if you see the sofa that is there, maybe you are recounting the last time you went to the Rich Hospital and they made you sit in one of the executive lounges there. So all of this can have different meanings to you because of what you have experienced. Somebody can even see all these three and see an airport. It will surprise you. I don't know how you link this one to an airport, but somebody see an airport in this. Somebody can look at this and see President Mahama's office. Somebody can see this and see the VC's office. Somebody can see these things and be very angry because he has lost a job from everybody in this type of chair before. So all of this has to do with your experiences. But chairs have meaning. Some chairs are reserved in society. In some societies, you cannot sit until a grace has been said or certain things have been given away. Now, to be able to sit in some situations, you need to internalize the taboos of the context so that you can even know which chair you can sit on and appreciate why they sit on that chair and why you are qualified to sit on that chair. So what we need to appreciate that when we look at it qualitatively, we should look at the ask ourselves, who is the one looking at it? You, the researcher, are you researching on what you are looking at or what the person you are interviewing is looking at? Which of them are you researching on? Yes. When a researcher goes to a place and looks at a chair and is going to interview people in the community, which of them is he researching on? What the people are seeing or what he is seeing? Or both? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prof.
Yes,
It should be what the people are seeing and not what you the researcher are seeing.
Okay. Francis, what about you?
yeah, Prof. So we sort to study things in their context or in their right environment. I think we are looking at the purpose for which they are being used in that environment, and that will look at how the person sees the chair and not the researcher.
Francis, if you are going to answer there, it is technically indirect. Okay, so let me answer the question. So the course of time. Okay, it is both. One, it is what you are seeing, and it is what you are seeing, and what they are seeing. But what you are seeing is what we want you to report on. What they are seeing is what you want to report on. But you need to be aware of what you are seeing so they can separate it. And don't think that what you are seeing is what you are seeing. Please, do you understand me? First of all, know what you are seeing and put it aside. And try to find out what they are seeing, so that you can separate what they are seeing from what you are seeing and report what they are seeing. Please, have I confused you?
Yes, Prof. What if what they are seeing is different from mine?
Well, you listen to me. You are the researcher and you have come to the place. You have seen the chess. Before the people come, you are going to interview, let's say, Florence. Florence, what are you seeing? Florence says that she's seeing a shop of chess. So you write it down and go report that Florence saw a shop of chess. But you are seeing authority. You don't go and write your authority down. The reason why you need to be able to document and know what you are seeing is because you want to bracket out what you are seeing so that it doesn't interfere with what they are seeing.
They are seeing. Okay.
Hey, I'm confused. Naya, please, do you understand what I'm saying? Naya.
Yes, Prof.
You are marketing or
HR, Prof.
Okay. Please, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
I'm
Prof.
saying. So, okay, so now the reason why we are saying that is that, you see, if you, the researcher, are not aware of yourself, you will be reporting everything you have been saying, not what they are telling you.
Yes, sir.
So you should know, you should be aware of your biases that you bring to the research. That's what you are trying to say, and bracket them out so that you can be clear in your mind what you are reporting is what they are seeing. Now, the problem is about the English, because when you are writing what they are seeing, you may end up writing it the way you are hearing it. And if you're not very observant, you forget about certain cues. That is why when you are finished writing what you saw, what you thought you saw, you carry it back to the people that you saw seeing the thing and ask them that, please, is what I have written what you think captures what you were seeing, so that they can give you feedback on what you have documented. Do you understand it?
Yes, Prof.
Sometimes even in the interview, when you hear it and say, Florence, what do you see? Florence says that I see a retail shop of chairs. Okay. Why do you see the retail shop? Oh, these chairs can be sold at a given place. So you are coming to understand the context in which it is, and you can write it down. Why are you doing that? You are asking follow-up questions to get clarity. So what you are saying is that you are seeing, you can sometimes repeat the answer of the person to the person. Because sometimes the respondent too can be sleeping. And as you ask the question, he just says the first thing that comes to the head without thinking. But when you start asking him that, you mean this? Then he say, oh, no, I didn't mean that. Then he start giving clarification. I'm not saying that the respondent is wrong. I'm trying to say that make sure that what you are recording from the respondent is what the respondent wants, is actually saying or is meaning. Because some of the respondents are very lazy. I have to also tell you that one too. They don't like you. You have come to stand there. She's selling tomatoes. You buy some. You are carrying your pen and paper. You're asking questions. You want to is that how to say it in Ghana? How much is it? Is that how to say it, Florence?
Yes, Prof. That's how we say it.
Prof.
Then you buy you. You're asking. If I were you, first of all, you buy some. After you buy some, then start doing the interview. You buy, then you are doing seven times. And then you see, on a customer too is trying to pay. Then she said, "Don't come here." And you are interfering with all kinds of time. And that's the whole day. The woman has not sold anything. You are interfering with the selling. So you are creating a problem. So please appreciate what you are doing and understand the content. Number two, you go there, is the rain is coming, and that's the question you are going to ask, that, so this tomato, is it coming from Niger or Nairobi or this thing? The person will just tell you Nairobi. Well, you know that Nairobi is not possible. But because you are not seeing that the rain is coming, and you are asking the question at the time the rain is coming, you are not helping the woman carry her stuff. So the context, as a quantitative researcher, as soon as you arrive there, he will tell you, you write the time, you write the context. It's a busy afternoon. People are going up and down and stuff. Auntie Akosia is sitting on the left, and then you approach her. Auntie Akosia, oh, how are you? Okay, I told you I'll come and interview you today. But before we interview, let me buy the tomatoes I promised to buy, and you buy it. Then you have got her attention, and then she can sit down with you for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes to go through your questionnaire. But you come there, no. I'm from University of Ghana with your tie, like Joshua. I'm from University of Ghana. I'm doing a PhD. I remember some woman we were going to buy hair from, and then when we got there, they said my son too was in University of Ghana. The wife too is from University of Ghana, but he doesn't have a job. Can you give him a job? So it became job recruitment, and before you could even ask a question about hair, we're looking at hair in Ghana and how they sell it. I got to understand that if I wanted to shut the woman down, that's when I got to understand that the woman's daughter is the one who is running the hair shop. And since they finish tech, Legon, the two of them can get a job. So the woman, the wife, the student, the man's wife, who is the woman's, the grandmother, or sorry, the mother-in-law, is the one that they have opened the shop for. But the woman is pregnant now, so the mother-in-law is still in the shop. And while the mother-in-law is talking to her, she's advocating for her to help her get her son a job in Legon, or help him to get a scholarship to go and do, I think, a PhD outside. So half of the interview about hair and hair sales turned into a PhD discussion and a potential job opportunity for the son-in-law. Do you stop the woman from saying this, or you want your data? Anyway, I don't know whether you face something like that. You have to converse on things you don't have to converse and still come back to your point. Anyway, Benjamin, I see your hand up.
Prof, I'm sorry. That's fine. I'm okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Should I continue, or you wanted to say something? I still see Benjamin. I still see your hand up, or should I?
Okay. Let me just.
Okay, I've lowered it.
Lower it.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
So please, you can go there. You can see things that you don't want to see. So qualitative researchers like to describe variation, not quantify it, describe and explain relationships, and they use flexible instruments so that they can have an iterative style of eliciting and categorizing responses to the questions through methods such as interviews, focus groups, and participant observation, or all forms of observation. Their data is textual, interviews, observation, documents, and audiovisual. Now we draw on audiovisual content a lot, like video on the internet, and then Twitter information and all this kind of stuff. And there are different methods for looking at those type of data. Maybe Dr. Barnor will show us, because he has done cybercrime research and he came across audiovisual content. He can explain to us how you use that one later. And then the researcher should be aware. Remember what I told you, aware of your own what? Orientations and what? What again?
Biases.
And
your
what?
own biases.
And what
your context. You should be aware of your context.
No, biases. Look at what I've written on the screen. Know what you see, what you heard me say. Your own orientations, biases, or
experiences.
And what?
Personal interaction in the context.
Thank you. And then what should you do with those ones?
You should bracket them from what you are seeing.
Thank you very much. You should bracket them for what you are seeing so that you can be able to get the actual data. So, Dr. Barnor, how did you bracket your own when you were doing your study on cybercrime? If you can give us a one line or two.
We'll talk about my personal biases, my personal.
Well, cybercrime is not an easy thing to study. So, how did you bracket
it? So, I went into the study with the opinion that I'm not a Supreme Court judge. I'm not going to judge anybody because if you remember the recent paper that was rejected because the person said all the people were all liars and thieves and all like that. Our response was that we didn't go into the study to go and judge the people. Our interest is in the data that we want and then how it will inform future research and policy and practice. So how I dealt with this is that I went into the study knowing that these people are living a life of their own that I do not need to judge. Otherwise, you get a skewed data. Yes.
So there is a 7-point framework that you use. Maybe later you can share it with us. That framework that helps you to be able to do sensitive research for qualitative for cybercrime, so that
Yes,
you can
Prof.
protect yourself and then remove yourself from becoming judgmental. In fact, everybody doing research here, please, even those in healthcare, there are frameworks that helps you to bracket yourself or help you to establish objectivity and credibility in your data collection process. Please, you should note those things when you are doing your ethical clearance, and note those when you are doing qualitative methodology and you're writing it up. Okay, hopefully we'll be able to go into that later. Key features of qualitative research. This is supposed to be done next 3 weeks, but I think we want to talk about a few of them. The first one is that the perspective of the participants can be subjective and diverse. When you ask a question, participants can have various meanings of your question. So you have to understand the possible different meanings before you ask the question by testing the questionnaire and the field at the pilot study before you take it to the field. Because like if as do you own the enterprise, ownership has different meanings depending on the community. Kumasi, ownership can be the fact that you have inherited it, the fact that you are the owner manager, you own it and you manage it. You can be the owner but not manage it. You can be the one who has inherited it but you don't manage it. So ownership is not money, but your question here own maybe meaning management. Do you own this enterprise? Meaning that do you manage this enterprise? That's what you have it. So if you wanted to ask, do you manage this enterprise? Ask that one. Well, ownership has different meanings. It's not all owners who are managers, and it's not all managers who are owners, and no, it's not all those who are owned by inheritance who are managers. So please, you know that the word that you have. Let me just give another example. Will you believe that when I went to do a study in Techimanda and I was asking a question like, do you have mobile app on your mobile applications on your phone? You said no. I said mobile app on your phone. You said oh no. Do you have WhatsApp? I said yes. So mobile app, he doesn't know what it is. Mobile application doesn't know, but WhatsApp, he knows it. So I started asking, do you have things like WhatsApp, Facebook? When I started mentioning example, they said yes, 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 yes. But when I asked mobile app, so I realized that the first 10 people I interviewed, and I say no, 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 I was wrong. Because it's after the 10th person that I got to understand that the mobile app and mobile application, they don't understand it. So I should start using example. Then I started hearing yes. So I said, then what have I done in the first 10 interviews? So the perspective of your participant is not your perception. And it could be different. So you understand mobile app, but they don't understand mobile app. And even sometimes, even in Accra, to surprise you that some people don't know that there's a radio station called Atlantis. And you are saying that you listen to Atlantis radio. You say, what is that? Even this room here, some people don't even know what Atlantis radio is. Somebody's asking, is this still alive? Is that radio station still there? So please, I plead with you, know the terminologies you are using and know the street language of the terminology. Or even, let me give an example again. In Uganda, we're doing a study on AIDS. Will you believe that HIV/AIDS has about 8 different words to explain what it is in Luganda and then Muganda, and there are different languages there. Now, if you are not very careful and you don't know who you are talking to, whether female or male, and where it comes from, you may not know what you are talking about when you are trying to explain whether a person has AIDS or not. We're doing a study on text to change, where people text to the platform, and the platform will tell them the HIV/AIDS status. They come and take the test and they give their phone number. Or if you have got you want to ask questions about sexually transmitted diseases and you don't want to identify the community, we give you a short code. So when we are doing the short code, because Uganda is highly literate in terms of the local language, they have newspapers in the local language. We needed to translate some of the interactions you ask from the platform in the local language. It was when we were doing the translation from the word from the English language that we started having problem. Because you take a word and it has got 2 different meanings, 3 different meanings. Which of them are you going to use? Because it depends on how the question is asked. Then you can know that you should use this meaning or this other meaning. I don't know very well, but those of you in Ghana and Ewe, are there specific words that have about 2 different meanings depending on the way you ask the question?
Prof, yes, a lot of them.
Can you give us an example? But you don't answer. Let them answer. Let them answer. Let the student answer. Yes, Naya.
Prof, that's even in Chi, there are a lot of them. If you say oh papa no or papa no. So oh papa is your father, papa is like something you use to fan fire.
No, that is more about is it about the pronunciation of the words. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but I'm talking about the one that the word itself has different meanings depending on whether a female acts or a male acts,
Oh,
or
okay.
yeah, or maybe depending on how it is used in the sentence. But what you're saying is true. What you're saying is true. Okay. Yes, the LS here. Can you help out the Northerners here? Anybody? Oh, Ghana. Okay,
Yeah, Prof.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, Prof. In Ghana,
Mm.
like we say la. La means fire. The same way la means this thing blood.
Hey, it means fire and blood at the same time.
Yes, it all depends on how you will make the tongue with the pronunciation.
So if somebody say Malabo, Malabo, what does it mean?
and even what you are saying, la means sing. I will sing. So the same word, but it sounds differently depending on the context.
It also means dream.
Dream too. Yes.
It also means to hook.
Yes. La.
It's the name of a town too.
Yes, la.
So if you translate, then if you are translating your question, then you have to be very careful.
Yeah. So it depends on the context.
Okay, that's very interesting. Anyway, so anybody who is trying to translate his questionnaire, you have to be very careful because these are the issues that will come up in qualitative research. So who owns the enterprise can be who makes the key managerial decisions, who owns it in terms of whether it's the inheritance or by partnership. Ownership has several meanings. Number two, the subjectivity of the researcher and those being studied are part of the process. The researcher's awareness of his biases and special interaction with an emphasis on flexibility in the research. So if you are not flexible, and appreciate what you know and what you are. What you know and what you are different things. Let me give an example. So when I was collecting data from Casapreco, I wrote a letter from my Manchester University that we would like to do the interview with them on a particular day. I flew to Ghana and showed up in Casapreco to do the interview. They were sitting in the boardroom. They told me that we didn't know you were coming in person, but we saw the letter came from to us, signed by Professor Hicks. So we are sitting in the boardroom waiting for Professor Hicks to join us via a conference call so that we can talk to him. So all the MDs were there. When I showed up in person, everybody got up and they said, go and talk to the operations manager. Can you imagine? Do you know what has happened? It's like the big people were there to meet the interview if the big people in the Manchester were available. But if the big people in Manchester are not available, then it becomes individual. So I realized that sometimes people have a perception of what you have sent to them in your questionnaire. And sometimes they have aspirations of what they want to tell you. But if you don't take care, the way you appear there, they may tell you, okay, talk to this person. Nobody is interested in your work as much as you expect. I hope you understand me. Hello?
Yes, Prof.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
So this is part of it that you should be aware of the biases that you can make. That the biases are also held by you, and it's also held by them. Some people have biases about University of Ghana already. I was there when I said we are for University of Ghana. They said that hey, they'll come to solve our problems. What the issues they were telling us that we couldn't do anything about it. So the institution you also belong to also has a lot of name. When you show up in places, people think that you have brought salvation to them. And the word is Dr. Naba. And the grandmother there thinks that you are a medical doctor, you are in trouble. So please, those of you go around that you are collecting data and say that you are a doctor in the making, be careful how you introduce yourself. Otherwise, you will have to give some prescriptions before you leave the village. Laughing. Joshua, don't go to some place and go and say you're a doctor.
Okay, Prof.
The chief will give you audience because you come to solve a problem.
I remember my graduation, my uncle came and he said, I'm doing MPhil, I'm philosopher. So he tried to ask me certain questions at home, which I have no idea. And he said, oh, then all that I've studied is bogus.
Maybe you say your philosophy. That philosophy too has a lot of meaning. Okay, then the researcher should also note that the thing should occur in the naturalistic should be naturalistic in nature. How does the people do they live? What is the environment that they find themselves? You are trying to unfold that naturally, not manipulate and control the environment. Otherwise, to bias the answers. You want to study a pastor, you can go to his service and watch him. After that, interview him. But if you take that same pastor and go and interview him with Kipensky, he may tell you things that you may not know whether it's true or not, because you cannot observe him. You want to interview somebody, you will want to get the person in his natural setting as much as possible. I'm just saying as much as possible. For example, we're doing a study on people who were doing the Uber and stuff. And sometimes you have to meet them at the station and then sit in their car, book a ride, and then we chat with them in the ride. Sometimes you also have to bring them to a business school and they can sit down and pay for that 1 hour he's sitting with you to answer questions. So, and some of the things, depending on how you ask the questions and how you are prepared to also support the person will show you more things. They can show you some of his ticketing. He can even show you some of the requests that he has received. He can give you more evidence, all because of the fact that you are creating a naturalistic inquiry that creates a non-manipulated, non-controlled environment for the people to share. And for something like cybercrime, it's very, very important. Yeah, I know. Emmanuel, today you're not talking in my class, you're not saying anything, you're not even greeted me. Or you are just going to tell me that our lecture is in 5 minutes. I know you are going, so I will let you go. And then so open to adaptive inquiry. That means that you also have to understand that sometimes you are interviewing people, you have to change. You may start with question 1 and go to question 3 and come to question 5 again. So you have to avoid rigid designs and use a more of a flexible, semi-structured approach. You have your questions, but you can change the structure as you're asking the questions. Yeah, Naya, ask your last question. Let's wrap up.
Yes, Prof. Sorry, I'm taking you back a bit with regards to the manipulation. You're talking about giving the person money.
Not always the money should come first. For example, compensating the person for his time. The Uber driver should stop driving for 1 hour and come and talk to you. He won't come unless you tell him that there's some compensation for your time.
Okay.
Yeah, or even lunch.
Okay.
Don't go and write it okay. I'll show you consent forms and how you write it inside in your declaration. Write that you compensated for their time. Go and write that you incentivize them with money. They won't give you the clearance.
Okay. Yes, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Context sensitivity. We should also note that, as I told you, the person is coming from somewhere. The social, historical, and temporal context. Let me give you an example. The Uber driver has been giving the car is not for him. It's for his boss. His boss has given him 200 cedis a day. He had to spend time with you. You don't compensate. His mind is that you don't understand the social context he's in. So how can he spend time with you? So you have to understand the context that the person is coming. And sometimes some of it can be historical. You are talking to a person who has a store in Medina, and you ask him that this business that you are in, is this what you have been doing all your life? For all you know, the person was even a pharmacist or a pharmaceutical assistant, and later, after marriage and stuff, she wanted something that is more flexible, and she stopped all this to open her own shop. Not every market woman is not educated. Some of them are by choice. They have even gone to Lagos and they have come to open their shop, and they are making like 1 million Ghana cedis a week, and they are sitting there at Medina Market. You think that they are like they don't want African, but they want something that will bring them money. Somebody to inherit it from their mother. So appreciate the historicity behind a person's predicament or situation in which you have met him to interview. Like I was telling you about the woman who sells the hair. I end up appreciating the fact that she's selling the hair on behalf of her own daughter, and then the challenges that her daughter is facing in marriage, or the husband not having a job. So these are things that come up, but it can shape the answers and the nature of the business or what you are interacting with or questions you are asking. So let's end it here and understand that we have been we have come to be introduced to qualitative research. We have appreciated that the fact that it is transitional and it can also be transitory, transitional and situational. And we should note that we have to bucket out our biases when we are going to do such a research. There are different types of qualitative research. When we meet next time, we will be looking into those ones and to discuss the different types. And that will take us, we'll jump paradigms. So we're going to different types of qualitative. That's section 3. So we're jumping that one. So please go and read about these areas before we meet next time. And Dr. Barnor will take us through them. He is also very good in Because he has done a certain type of grounded research, so he can be able to explain the differences to us using his study. Okay. So our objective to understand how does a person do phenomenology, how does a person do ethnography, case study, and grounded. Then we'll take the case study as the major one we want to study because we're in the business school. But it doesn't mean that somebody cannot do ethnography or grounded theory or phenomenology. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I'll put the class slides on, make it available in on the website, on the WhatsApp group, and then in Sakai. Okay. Thank you, Ram. Finance, please, you can go. But those who are left here, if anybody has a question, I can answer. We have closed the test, but if you have some 1 or 2 questions or clarifications, we'll answer.
Prof, I don't know if I can take you back a little bit regarding the explanation you were giving to the question that Sami asked. So, per what you said, it means both qualitative and quantitative, we can still deal with perception, depending on how you are looking at it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are right. That's why it will be good to you yourself go online, check whether you can see a perception study that is quantitative for you to get an idea.
Okay, Prof. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, Derek, is everything okay?